here we are live. Here I'm going to be uploading. It's almost 11. Today's on the 13th. So, since currently I have people talking on my property, even wanting to take credit for the day of the week, the fact that some people are so narcissistic, the idea that everything has to be about them, but to know that their audience I'm not in alliance with them. So to know that people since 2019 have been claiming that they want to murder me and my daughters for inheritance and assets and money. I mean, the amount of people involved, it's going to be pretty hard to cover that up. I think that the problem is, for me, is the idea that other people don't realize that when someone eats cereal, someone dies. And it's like, what? Thought you were making wishes. I thought we were going to talk about It's a Wonderful Life, that an angel gets its wings as a suicidal man attempts to, deal with life. And we call that a Christmas movie. As we deal in life about something as cereal with a bunch of serial killers, that they spent their life eating cereal. And you're like, So, I can make it about 3 wishes. I can live a life naive. I'm not into horror genre. I've never made money off of prostitution for me, directly. I live in a prostitution ring, but so do you. We live amongst killers, that's a fact. The idea that cereal is attributed to serial killers, but the idea that amongst us are people who sacrifice and hold hostages and slaves in America. And that's the real topic right now, all the way back from the beginning of time. But the people who are involved claim they've been doing it for so many years, they're going to keep doing it. They believe they're going to keep doing it while we're sitting over here thinking, buy a coffee brand that will let people know, I'm aware. So you want to call it Awaken? Call it, tag it, anything you can to get people to understand that if somebody is going to threaten you, which my mother had no problem with me drinking coffee or tea. I wasn't required to be a Temple Mormon. She used to work for the Prophet downtown Salt Lake City. She actually was a missionary in her younger years for the church to help bring a knowledge to people about actually awareness. I'm going to use that word. I mean, the idea that I was raised conservatively in a very conservative background. When I have traveled and I saw people kissing and the way that things were, it was just a whole different environment when you're outside of your environment. The fact that I spent 20 years going back and forth between Colorado and Utah to take care of my mother, which we were actually very close. I'm just going to state it from my point of view. I mean, for me, my daughters and I were always welcome there. My mother called it my house. She wanted me to be beneficiaries, and the only grandchildren that were beneficiaries were only my 2 adult daughters. So the idea that other people think that you're going to cover up, there just isn't going to be. I've got to go live and continue to move forward. I just got my statement just a few minutes ago, right before 11 a.m. today on the 13th of March, regarding a streaming service. So as I'm going to have to find ways to get my story out there, because it's been now since my mother passed away December 5th, 2022, that I've been being targeted by certain Latter-day Saints who I'm considering terrorists. The idea that since my mom passed away, I was threatened that if I take a bath, they'll end humanity. Doing the dishes or laundry, they would threaten to cut my children. threatening that I'm not allowed to dance or sing, which before my mother passed away. The fact that listening to audio of family members who claim to be family, and then when it's not convenient, saying not, but saying that they planned on killing my children their entire lives for their inheritance, for their money, from my augmented reality. So the idea that they got so many celebrities and people involved for 5 decades. So what I'm really dealing with is wanting to upload and share my story and attempt to figure out how to disclose cannibalism in America and human sacrifice, and people who are celebrities that I have to keep taking their names out of the conversation in order for it to upload on all the platforms. But you'll have to go to my Facebook when I've made public notices and attempting to get Facebook to let me state and report what needs to be reported as published documentation as a public notice. To be able to tag the government, tag people and make them aware, to help make sure that this is not going to be covered up. The fact that over and over in this country, people who speak the truth, end up in situations like myself, because the more that I have spoken, the more I'm targeted, and the more in danger it is in any of us to speak the truth here in America, which I stand for truth and justice and freedom of speech. So as these platforms, my videos continue to be taken down and my voice silenced by gaslighters. The fact that just a few minutes ago, a bunch of celebrities once again think they're lawyering up. I welcome it. I know you'll be in prison. I know you will if you survive. You've killed too many people. You are contract killers. I do believe you took credit for murder. I do believe you're in a virtual reality house or houses that's under my augmented reality of Susan Shepard's augmented reality. I do believe that based on the film that I'm in and the budget for the film makes me one of the richest women in the whole world, because the amount of people who got involved in this film in 2019 and the way my augmented reality works. So I believe the United States government is not going to be able to cover this up in order to have money. I notified America First Credit Union yesterday that it was supposed to be that they would be the bank to help make sure and ensure that Americans get utilities paid directly from a bank. How we do it in the system, I'm not sure how it will end up happening. But I do know that I believe that I have money. I believe I have assets that celebrities have been destroying and wearing and believing and wanting other people to believe that they can get other people to kill, rape, murder, torture, and torment, but to emotionally abuse and to find people that are attempting to be in witness protection, and instead to brag that there is no witness protection when there are people who can watch you and remote view you and have for 5 decades, while other people are so unaware that people are watching through iSeeing technology. So the fact that I've been aware of this for 5 decades, the fact that I have been involved on a spy network for 48 years, up to the point when I wrote my documentary, this autobiography, that I will be reporting of what it was that people helped me write. And people who are a part of helping me tell my story and the story that you're in, which is really imperative because, well, we're making wishes and eating cereal. Somebody else in someone else's mind is a celebrity or a terrorist, talking about eating your children and wanting all your money and all your assets and stealing your life story. Planning on going into your properties, invading them, and that nice expensive car they don't ever have to pay for a house is off of theft. And that is my testimony. And that's what I want them to go to prison for. The idea that they think that they can have it all and us as non-elite don't get anything. It says, I'm for redistributing to truth and justice. and for the right to eat cereal without having someone chew in your ear and talk about how they ate your children. God bless America. To those who are allowed to drink coffee without their violation of rights in America, where they'd be threatened to be killed, or wearing a shirt. It's a dancing shirt, but it doesn't matter that I've been threatened to, I'm not allowed to dance or sing by certain terrorists. So the fact that my mother, who worked for the Prophet downtown Salt Lake City, had no problem with me singing or dancing or not being a Temple Mormon. And I certainly was never threatened by having coffee or tea or not going to church. So to all those Latter-day Saints, I was born and raised in the church, and I'm being targeted by celebrities, and so are you. And other people claiming to be Latter-day Saint Temple Mormons with a blood oath, suicide pact, a law of vengeance, and an extinction order. And this has been going on for several years now, where they continue to show graphic images of human sacrifice and claiming they sacrificed for that, as they now drive off in someone else's vehicle, live in somebody else's house, off of murder, rape, torture, and tormenting. But to continue to let them call themselves bitches, witches, and antichrist, evildoers, and devils, as they continue to brag and think that the United States government will not hold them against crimes against humanity, as I want them to be known as terrorists. I want the right to eat cereal without hearing the sound of death. Drinking coffee. And at least now, my wishes are for those who claim you ate my children and slowly held them hostage and brag of holding them hostage for decades as people they met along the way in the United States of America. I want each and every one of you held responsible. So that's my wish, for you guys to be held responsible in America. The idea that you want to brag about drinking my daughter's blood. I'm a mother, I will always be a mother. And this is to justice. God bless America.